10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Good luck, studio.
Oh, it's just what you've been waiting for, dears. Another episode of the Shy Life podcast coming right up.
Oh, it's the Shy Life podcast.
All I wanted was a pie, and then I hatched out of an egg.
Okay, bring the mic over. He's ready to record.
It's the quiet ones you've got to watch, you know.
Is it metaphorical? Is it deep? Is it deep?
Boy, he's not all that shy, is right.
Blimey, Governor, it's the Shy Life podcast.
Excellent.
534.
Hello, campers. How are you?
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Shy Life podcast with me, Paul the Shy Yeti. How are you doing? I'm all right. I've got Martin here. Martin Holmes, how are you doing,
I'm
Martin?
very well. I always wonder who you're replying to when you say that.
Well, I'm hoping that they're sitting out there going, "Oh, I'm not too bad. I've got a bad leg, but
the trouble I've had."
well, you do find it. Sometimes I ask people how they are, and they tell me how they are, but then they don't ask me back. I think that's awfully rude when you ask after somebody and they don't.
Well, there's a whole thing, isn't there? Do you tell people? Don't you tell people? Do you really want to know about my troubles? Nightmare. But equally, you like to think they reciprocate.
Well, most of this podcast is about my troubles in some form or other. But
what goes on in the mind? Yes, no. Anyway, hello, Paul.
Well, anyway, hello. Yes, I'm all right. We're back in the 1950s.
Oh, excellent! Yes, I'll knit my own sweater and live in an age of austerity and get me coupons. I'll get some petrol and I might be able to go 100 yards.
Sounds almost like now. There you go.
Some people wanted it back. Some people wanted it back really badly.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be talking about 1954 and 1955 this time.
1955, I believe, was the year my sister was born, so I do have a connection with 55. So it's probably in most of 55. My mother was pregnant with my sister, so there we are.
Well, neither of us were around.
No,
so,
I wasn't even a twinkle. I wasn't even a twinkle in the milkman's eye. I wasn't even a twinkle in the postman's eye.
I don't think my milkman was even alive. But, anyway, let's run the theme music, and when we get back, we will we'll start our chat. Let's run that theme music.
Darling, it's the Shy Life podcast.
Yes, but it's a positive thing, Paul. The highlights, the Shy Life.
You won't find a cast of characters like this everywhere.
Hello, Paul.
You don't want 4 nuts, do you?
I'll go anywhere for a potato.
Delicious.
This particular episode of the Shy Life is a little more abstract than usual.
Go Shy Yeti.
Oh, I hope he hasn't found out my secret. If he has.
If you thought that was bad, just listen to this.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for it to begin.
It's the Shy Life podcast.
So we do recite.
Yeah, I'm strangely drawn to Yeti Uncle John's ankles as well.
Has the Shy Life podcast slowed down? I don't think so.
It's all gooey and greasy. Yum, 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 yum.
So, yes, 1954.
I was thinking you'd have a bit more big band in there for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, yeah. I have got a list of some of the things that happened in 1954.
Oh, do tell.
Although, yeah, I do think we may have had a bit of a delay in the UK compared to, or things that came out in late 54 in America.
Well, we still had rationing, mate. We had to ration our music. We had to get a coupon to get a new tune into the country. I mean,
well, it says that on April the 12th, 1954, Bill Haley and the Comets recorded "Rock Around the Clock." But I swear that doesn't come out until 55 in the UK. But
that's the whole thing. I mean, it's probably thought of as modern music by the people now, and it's probably only just about to come out.
Yeah, and perhaps it took a year and a half for it to kind of... It got lost on the wrong boat.
Well, there's a time difference, isn't there? I mean, that's the whole thing about rocking round the clock. I mean, the clock gets confused because you're in the wrong time zone. I mean, nobody knows how to rock around a clock when you have to turn it back 5 hours. You're exhausted.
Also, on July the 5th, 1954, Elvis Presley had his first commercial recording session at Sun Studios in Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, right.
He sung "That's All Right, Mama" and "Blue Moon of Kentucky," which was released as his first.
And that
single.
led to all that 20 years of spangles and rhinestones and fortune, fame and fortune. Oh, amazing.
He also made his first radio broadcast in October.
Wow, there you go. And Irene Handel, of course.
Yeah, yeah. big fan.
Mr. Presley.
Also beginning their recording career was Pat Boone.
Good old Pat.
And Les Paul commissioned Ampex to build the first 8-track tape recorder at his own expense.
You say Les? Sure, it wasn't Lay. He's not French, isn't he? Le Paul. Hello, Paul. How you doing? Oh, God, what happened to him?
I'm not sure. I remember him. Also, the Drifters formed, the Isley Brothers formed.
And they were hanging around well into the 70s, weren't they? I mean, in terms of chart stuff. I mean, I remember them turning up top of the pops in their big flares.
There was a list of albums that came out this year, but with no indication as to how well they did. So I think we'll
random list of albums from 1954.
Although Rosemary Clooney released an album called Red Garters, that sounds almost like
smut.
That sounds like the sort of thing Madonna would release 30 years later.
Well, it was probably just as shocking.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're flashing your red garters, there's definitely something afoot.
And Frank Sinatra was releasing Songs for Young Lovers,
as opposed to old lovers,
yes,
middle-aged lovers, just young ones, the swine.
Louis Armstrong had a couple of albums out. Patti Page, I think we talked about her last time.
We did.
But anyway, let's actually look in the charts and see what was going on. We'll start with the UK.
Okay. So I suppose we should all be. I mean, we should be talking a little bit more. I mean, people on the radio in the 50s talked about a lot more poshly, didn't they? Than
a little bit like this.
Yes. Hello, Paul. Hello. Tell me about the rock and roll songs of the time.
I don't think we've got.
I can't do this for an hour and a half, can I?
I don't think in 54 we haven't quite reached the rock and roll yet.
Have we not? Oh, well, there we go. See, I will go immediately grab my service revolver.
I actually think I might swap things round, and what we might do is do the US before the UK.
Oh, you're messing with me, Mr. Chandler. You're messing with me. What are you doing that for?
Well, because most of these songs seem to be released over in the US before.
Obviously, they're there and then they're here. So it'll be like a repeat. Yeah, okay.
So so we're going to start in America, and the first number one of 1954 was number one for 8 weeks.
Good Lord.
It was Eddie Fisher, and it was "Oh My Papa."
Oh my! I don't know that one at all. Oh My Papa. Although obviously he is the papa of the isn't he? Of the
yes,
Princess Leia.
Yes, and Carrie Fisher.
Oh my papa, I'm going to have a Princess Leia. Probably not. It doesn't go like that.
Well, it's a nostalgic German song.
Oh dear. Did they have nostalgic German songs in the mid-50s? Were people looking back at the Second World War with a kind of rosy glow?
It says it was originally as related by a young woman remembering her beloved, once famous clown father.
Right.
Okay.
No other beloved clowns? I find that hard to believe. Nobody likes clowns anymore.
I guess if they're your father, then maybe.
Take the makeup off, Dad. Take the nose off. Let's have your porridge.
Apparently, I can't read this next bit because let's just say there are other versions and instrumental versions are also in the charts, but we will come to that later because otherwise I'll be giving the end away.
It's a popular tune then. Maybe if I heard it, I'd go, "Oh, it's that." But because sometimes it's quite interesting when you listen to things like The Shadows and you see the title and you think, "Oh, what? I don't know what that is," and then you hear it, "Oh, it's that one." Oh.
Yes.
Well, get that with jazz quite a lot, actually. But,
the next number one in America in 54 was "Secret Love" by Doris Day.
Once I had a secret love. That was from a film, wasn't it? I'm sure that was
from Calamity Jane.
Yes.
And that was which came out the following year. So it's not like one of those things where the song from the movie comes out like at the same time as the film is in the cinemas.
It's not like the little plastic things that come out with McDonald's, is it? No, it's no. There you go. There's a £5 for you. They'll sponsor you now. You'll get a free burger.
Well, that was number one for 3 weeks.
Right.
Then we have Joe Stafford.
Joe Stafford?
Stafford.
Joe Stafford, not Joe Stafford from Chip Shop, not that Joe Stafford.
I don't know. The song's called. The song. Be careful what you say though. The song's called "Make Love to Me."
Well, you know they're a funny lot down the Chippy. I mean, they get because obviously all the girls come in to say hi. You know. oh, Joe, what lovely chips you make, and you smell gorgeous on the chip fat.
It was.
Sorry, I don't know where this good stuff comes from. Moving on.
I can't find anything about Joe Stafford. Because
he went back to the Chippy.
Nobody's bothered to put a link into. It looks like it's one of those songs that was covered by a lot of people.
Funnily enough, we had a neighbour called who the family name was Stafford, so maybe it was them.
It's weird because it's not even listed as one of the more famous versions, which you would have thought it would have been as it got to number one.
Well, maybe he just went and bought a yacht and he spent the rest of his life living on his yacht.
Yeah, and Anne Murray did a version in 1993.
I'm told there's money in this rock and roll music if you do it right. If you get the right agent.
Oh, just a minute. Now there is a link to Joe Stafford. Here we go.
Here we go.
No, so Joe Stafford was a lady.
Didn't. Well, that makes a whole lot of what I've said now completely.
She was an American traditional pop music singer and occasional actress.
Right. Okay. There we go. But that just goes to show you shouldn't make assumptions about names. Well done. Not down the Chippy at all. Sorry, Joe.
Well, she was J.O. I should have guessed that, but she lived until she was 90 years old.
Oh, bless.
Died in 2008.
It's all the chips. They keep you alive forever. Chips. Chip diet.
Dear. I think she was in the Singing Stafford Sisters in the 40s.
Fair enough.
Looks like she was in the Pied Pipers as well.
What about a bit then?
Yeah.
Maybe she had a mobile chip.
She did comedy performances. And what else? Oh, there's a picture of her with Jack Benny.
Jack Benny, wow.
I'm trying to see what other songs she did. Oh, she supported John F. Kennedy for president in 1960. Yeah. So, she's got a filmography as well. I think she appeared with Frank Sinatra. I don't think she liked television work because she was forced to memorise scripts. And usually she was used to reading things off cue cards. But,
whatever works for you.
Did she have any other? She had, she did the trolley song. Is that ring ring ring? That one.
Ring 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 goes the bell. That one.
Yeah.
Bang 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 goes the trolley. Ring 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 goes the bell. No, I don't know that one.
No, I don't know that one.
Never heard of it. No, you're talking about. No, good lord, no.
She had a number one in 1945.
You have to pay a £5 every time I do that. You know.
You see, there must be records for. We found. Like we were saying last time that the charts started in 1950 or something, but there's records here for songs and how well they did going back to 44 here. So I just don't see them as one big list. She had number one in 1945 with Candy with Johnny Mercer.
I'll have to investigate what those charts were, unless of course it is all the sheet music up until that point.
Could be. She had a number 4 hit in 46 with Symphony.
Wow.
Day by Day, number 8. She had quite a lot of.
She's basically the I was going to say the Joan Jett of her age, but the Susie Quattro of her age.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what tempo these songs are.
Well, that trolley one goes a fair old whack.
Yes, I guess so. Deals, do you know the trolley song? You might do. In 1947, she
don't mention trolleys to Deals. I think you're going back to the vet.
She had a 1947 number 7 hit, Feuding and Fighting.
Feuding and Fighting.
So maybe she was the Susie Quattro of her age.
You see.
that Some Enchanted Evening, number
Bad
4,
girl.
1949.
You may meet a stranger and duff them with a bottle.
She had a whole load of singles. There's Shrimp. There's one in 1951 called Shrimp Boats, which got to number 2.
Okay. I must admit, it doesn't seem the most inspiring of titles, but you know.
I wonder if we've come across her before, because she's got "You Belong to Me."
You belong to me.
I wonder if it is that song, or whether it's another song called that.
Probably.
Yeah.
I was just having a I think it was a bit of a goon show moment then. You belong to me. You belong to me. Oh.
Yeah, it does sound like, because a lot of those 60 songs were sort of, some of them were just covers of 50 songs.
Yes.
But I can't see a mention of that. Anyway, we've gone far too deep into the 1940s. We need to come back.
Off
we need
track,
to come back.
therefore.
She had a lot of hits anyway.
Wrong
from the
side
looks
of the tracks and all that.
Yeah. So where were we? So yes, this was "Make Love to Me," I think. And
seems a bit harsh for a Wednesday afternoon. But
anyway, that was number 1 for 3 weeks, and then we have Perry Como.
Perry Comb Over. Although he didn't really, he had very good hair.
The song was called "Wanted," and again, a lot of other people apparently did it, but his was the most famous. Al Martino also had a top 10 hit with it in the UK, and Anne Murray did a version in 1993.
Al Murray? What the?
No, Anne Murray.
Oh, Anne Murray. Let's get these headphones cleaned.
Then we have, for 9 weeks, which must be one of the biggest hits of the year. I've never heard of her though. "Little Things Mean a Lot,"
Right.
which I feel like I would know if I heard it.
Yeah, the title rings a bell, actually.
But it's by Kitty Callan, Kallen.
Not Callan as in the spy.
No. She lived even longer. She lived to be 94.
Blimey.
She died in
all that
26.
spying.
Yes, she died in 2016.
Lord. See, that is. I know it. I know we shouldn't. But it sort of doesn't compute, does it? It just feels. How can these songs feel like ancient history, and yet here we are, and yet these people were still around in the last 6 years ago. It just messes with your head. You forget how young a lot of music performers were.
She just missed out on hearing the very first episode of the Shy Life podcast. Still,
maybe that was it. She heard it was coming and thought, "Yeah, forget it."
She can't. I didn't know it was coming in January.
I thought you were going to say she just missed out in the sense that the first episode was in 1954. I thought, you've been sending them back in time now. You basically want to dominate all of time and space with your podcast.
Well, obviously. She had quite a lot of
the Big Bang with Shy Yeti.
Yes. She had the same year she had another song called "In the Chapel in the Moonlight." Number 4, but
that sounds like Elvis might have done that one. Well, it just sounds like an Elvis title, doesn't it?
But she was having
Chapel in the Moonlight.
She was having hits and number ones back in 43 and 44 though. She had a song called "Besame Mucho" with Jimmy Dorsey and Bob
popular
Ebele.
Popular with the troops then, presumably.
Yeah. I'm Beginning to See the Light. That was a number 1 in 45.
Okay.
I'll Buy That Dream, number 2 with Harry James.
And,
so yes,
Sid James' elder brother. I don't think Sid James must have had an older brother. I mean, nobody could look older than Sid James for his entire life. Still, we're getting all these 50s telly references. We've got the Goons. We've got Hancock's Half Hours. So there we go.
Now the next number 1, we're in August 54 now, because we've had long.
Good Lord, really?
Well, because we've had an 8 weeks, two 8 weeks and a 9 week.
Yeah.
This is 7 weeks.
Year flies by.
Yeah. The next one is it's a doo-wop song although I don't think it's the original version, because it says it was a doo-wop song by the Chords, and this isn't the version we've got here, but the song is Shaboom.
Named after the trouser, no doubt. Shaboom.
Shaboom.
Shaboom, sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, shaboom. That one.
Probably. It's by the Crew Cuts.
Okay.
And sometimes referred to life could be sometimes
Life
referred
could
to
be a
as
dream.
life could be a dream.
Yes, I think that's on the Lipstick on Your Collar soundtrack, I think, from the 50s Dennis Potter series. Nobody will understand the word. I keep doing these. I keep slipping into these bizarre accents, which I apologise for, because nobody on your international will understand the bloody word. Say, who's that strange person who keeps lapsing into gibberish?
Apparently, alternate, but I don't know if they did it in a particular style which was different from the original style, but it says alternate recordings based on the Crew Cuts recordings were heard on Happy Days and the film Clue, but the original was the Chords version, but and that's also featured in films such as Cry Baby with Johnny Depp and Lipstick in. It sounds like the Lipstick on Your Collar used the Chords version, which probably would make sense. You'd probably want to use the original.
You've got to be evocative of a time, but it just shows really the longevity of these songs. I mean, I'm sure there are songs from the 80s that no one's heard ever since, apart from on some obscure radio station, whereas this stuff is, it's kind of, it's music for the ages, isn't it?
Yeah, I wonder when the Chords version was. Well, theirs was 1954, so...
I mean, there was quite a lot of... I suppose it was a lot to do with visas and travel, wasn't it? But there was quite a lot of coverage of songs, and the local ones seem to do better in local markets.
The Crew Cuts were Canadian.
Okay. Canadian.
Yeah, they had other hits, and they had one called Earth Angel No. 3. That was in 55.
Yes, that's another one that was in the Lipstick soundtrack.
And Kokomo, I Love You So, No. 6. And then the other ones are more like sort of slightly lower down the charts, but not awful. They were still having hits of some sort in 57. So we have a familiar name now. For 6 weeks we have Hey There by Rosemary Clooney.
Rosemary, she's been showing off. She would have been showing off her garters.
Yes, well, that was her album, so I don't know if this was one of the... although I don't know whether they were doing the same as they did in the 60s, of not having singles on albums.
Hey there. Hey there. Hey there. Wow.
Apparently it's a show tune from the Pyjama Game, the musical.
It's very interesting to me because, people go on about George Clooney now, and George Clooney, and they used to say, oh yes, he's related to Rosemary Clooney, and people and people would go, I don't know who Rosemary Clooney is, and you kind of think back in the 50s, she would just been such a household name, and it's amazing how that can, all the current celebrities, even those people you don't recognise on those things you see trailers for people on islands with their shirts off. You learn from this. One day you'll be as whatever happened to questions.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when young people look at old people and don't think, oh well, yeah, well, once upon a time I was that young person. I know everything you're doing now. I know all about that.
We were there, mate. We were there.
One day you'll be here.
Quite a few years back now, but we were there.
But
we had bloody nuclear threat when it was really threatening, mate.
Well, at least we've got to this stage. They still might get run over by a bus tomorrow, so they'll never get there. So, well, the next number one is more familiar to me than the previous song. I say that because the next number one was by Rosemary Clooney. But weirdly...
Popular girl.
Yeah, but the song is This Old House, which I imagine is the Shaking Stevens.
Yes, it will be.
It's on the Shaking Stevens.
I think I've heard the Clooney version. It's quite... Yeah. It's a lot more No, I mean it's a I say it's a cleaner sound, but I mean I think the shaking of the Stevens, he put a bit of sort of modern raunch on it. But I think it's quite a wholesome song. This Old House, I think.
Yeah, she. It was only number one for 1 week though. Of the two of them, I guess I'm familiar because of the cover from the 80s. But after that, for 3 weeks, we have Eddie Fisher again with "I Need You." I need you now.
I need you now.
Yeah. Don't have a lot to say about it, but it was performed by other people.
Yeah.
It was performed by Russell Arms.
As a title, it doesn't, it doesn't make me think anything. It's amazing how some don't and some do, isn't it?
Jerry Lee Lewis did a version.
Goodness gracious.
Bing Crosby did a version. And the thing is, they're all doing it around the same time as this version. So.
Well, maybe that's it. You have to get a performer from every different demographic, and you get a hit because it's being done by all these different people. So, as a songwriter, you get loads and loads of people doing your song, and therefore you get loads of money.
Now, the last number one of 54 in America was number one for 7 weeks, and it's Mr. Sandman.
Mr. Sandman, send me a dream. Yes.
Now, it says it's a popular song written by Pat Ballard, and it was first recorded in May of 54 by Vaughan Monroe and his orchestra.
Okay.
But then, here we are, later in the year, the Chordettes are doing it.
See, that again fascinates me. If you think of a modern, I mean, I don't know what's in the charts at the moment, but if you thought, oh, I like that song by the, I don't know, popular band of the time, and you did a version of it 6 weeks later, you can't imagine it would have the same impact now, would it?
No. Also, the Four Aces also did a version that year, and the Chordettes were a girl group, and the Four Aces were a boy group.
But, did they meet up and do a duet?
Sure, that sounds like they should do. It sounds like something from X Factor or something where there's two different groups. And,
or the Pericomo Christmas special.
Oh, just a minute. Chet Atkins also did an instrumental version, also in 54. Wow. You'd think people would be sick of it, but
must have a memorable strapline tune, then, if it can be just done as instrumental and still be recognised.
Also, Emmylou Harris, Dolly Parton, and Linda Ronstadt did a version in 1978 together.
Wow. Islands in the Stream. Oh no, not that one.
I guess they were the Chordettes of their day. I wonder what we can find. Oh, the
Rock Follies.
Yes, yeah. The Chordettes also had a hit with something called Lollipop. Now, I don't know.
Lollipop, lollipop, lolly, lolly, lollipop, lollipop.
Isn't that called My Boiler? But again, could be a different song. Could be the same song.
Yes, I mean, someone mentioned the other day, very naively, why would you call anybody Lollipop? And someone had to point out something. It's actually a very rude song, and I've not been able to think about it in the same way because it had never crossed my mind before either. The Chordettes did have other hits. They had a song called Born to Be With You in 56 and Just Between You and Me in 57 and then this Lollipop which in 58 which was number 2, so that was but yeah, they had other top 10 hits, not like every single single or anything, but they're not one hit wonders, so. No.
So that is 54 in America. Wow. So we'll nip over to England and see how...
On a very old turboprop aeroplane that has to stop off 15 times to get here, but yes.
We'll be back in 17 days.
We just stopped off at Reykjavik after stopping off at Newfoundland, and we've stopped off in Sligo, and now we're heading on to London Airport, as we call it now at the moment. The aerodrome.
You'll find that there are some similarities and some differences in the UK. We have Oh Mine Papa, but I think this is the instrumental version. Yes, it's the instrumental version. Yes. Which one do you prefer? Is it the Eddie Fisher version or the Eddie Calvert version? Have you decided?
I think I think Daly would like Eddie Fisher because of the fishing and bringing in the fish, so you could have lots of fish.
There you go. Sit down now whilst we look at the rest of 1954 in the UK deals.
And dream of fish.
The Eddie Calvert version got to number 1 for 9 weeks.
Okay.
Then we have I See the Moon for 5 weeks.
I see the moon sees me.
Do you think it would be that one? It's a popular song written by Meredith Wilson in 53. The Stargazers.
Again, another one that's on Dennis Potter. Obviously, Dennis was listening to the same tunes I was in or at least remembered the same ones that you were talking about. He always had his CD of the top 10, the number ones of the 1954 on his desk as he was writing.
I wonder what we can find out about the Stargazers. It says they're 1940s and 50s group. So.
Okay. There's a lot of fun. I mean, this is the strange thing because it's pre-Sputnik, and yet, there's a lot of fascination with the stars and the sky. And I mean, even if you think of It's a Wonderful Life, there's a lot of stuff about George Lassou's The Moon. People were very obsessed with starlight, presumably because people eventually thought we might get there. I don't know.
Apparently, they made some of their first appearances on radio on shows like Workers' Playtime and The Goon Show.
Oh, okay. Interesting. The musical interlude.
Yeah, and they one of the singers from the group is the father of somebody from Johnny Hates Jazz.
Oh, there you go.
So, and apparently they were the backing vocalists for a lot of Petula Clark's early recordings. So.
There you go. Everything's connected. Sorry, excuse me, son. I'm a famous jazz musician. Who is your father? Yes, I hate jazz, Dad. my band's going to be called that when I grow up.
Now, after that, we have Secret Love by Doris Day, which was number 1 for a week.
Okay.
Then the Stargazers came back for another week.
And then go?
Yeah, just for a week. And then Johnny Ray with Such a Night.
That's night as in the time of day and not...
Yeah.
Or the time of the 24-hour day. Not the man in the suit of armour sort of clattering along.
It says that he was an American singer, so it sounds like one of those situations where that he did better in the UK than in America, unless he had a hit from last year and we've forgotten it, but I don't think so. It's a popular song from 1953. It was first recorded by the Drifters, so there's obviously not enough songs to go around. It looks like Elvis did a version as well in 64. Well, no, it says it was released in 64, but he recorded it in 60. So
did Elvis write any songs at all?
I don't know enough to know whether. I would say mostly not, but I wouldn't. But then,
just wondered if he ever had a go at it.
Yeah, one would think that. One would think that maybe he did have a go eventually, but who knows?
Interesting question, because it's not something I've ever thought about. But it's like, did Sinatra ever actually put pen to paper on things? Or was it always... I mean, the thing is that's the songwriter's job.
Even though the girls from ABBA weren't generally known for their songwriting, they did write songs in their solo careers before they were famous, because they both had solo careers before ABBA, and they wrote the odd song here or there, but they just didn't tend to appear on ABBA albums. So,
weirdly, I've just been listening to the Chess soundtrack this week. Bjorn and Benny. Yeah, there's some lyrics in there that don't stand the test of time. Anyway, let's not dwell.
So after this is weird, because unless the song came out and the film came out later, because we've got Doris Day again with Secret Love, and this time for 8 weeks.
Oh, right.
So I don't quite know whether Calamity Jane came out later over here or something.
Well, there was a thing. Sometimes films were, there was quite a delay on them for getting, the American releases and the UK releases were sometimes, they could be 12 months apart. So it's not again, unlikely. I mean, she has a song, doesn't she? She has Que Sera Sera is in a Hitchcock film, isn't it?
Then we have David Whitfield.
David Whitfield. He
who
sounds like
last
he's an estate agent.
Yeah, well, we last had him. He was number one at Christmas '53.
What did I say he sounded like last time? An accountant.
I can't remember. Do you remember when he and Frankie Lane were doing Answer Me, and they kept, they both kept being number one backwards and forwards. Yeah, my dad likes David Whitfield.
Whitfield and Lane.
He does look
chartered accountants.
He does look like a chartered accountant, to be honest. The song is Cara Mia.
Cara Mia. Cara Mia.
Yeah, David Whitfield was an English singer. But it looks like, again, other people released it, did versions.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure he was a very good performer. It's just you're so used to people having their names changed and becoming more sort of rock and roll later that some to perform under their own name, and for it to be such a ordinary name, just it's odd. Just seems odd to me. But anyway.
From what I remember, he was a very sort of very proper, old-fashioned singer, very sort of almost like sounded like he was. To me, it almost sounded like he's putting on an act, like somebody would. Like I'm sure people spoofed that sort of singing.
Well, I suppose if they didn't have the associations we have with them, names like sort of Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra might not sound exotic and exciting and interesting. So maybe it's just that is it. The fact that they became famous. I mean, I imagine Perry Como was never really going to be an accountant, quite frankly. But
he won Opportunity Knocks in 1950.
Well, over the years, I've worked with a few Andy Williamses. So, I knew a Michael Jackson at college, but not that one.
I just remember him being very sort of. I can't think of a sort of, but yeah, not like pre-rock and roll type singer, very, very sort of, probably a very good voice, but those sorts of voices kind of sound weird to our generation because we're used to people singing more casually and more sort of. Yeah. So next we have, for 1 week, Kitty Callan, with that Little Things Mean a Lot. Then we have Frank Sinatra with 3 Coins in the Fountain for 3 weeks. That received the Academy Award for Best Original Song in 1955.
Wow. Now, what film would that be from?
I feel like it was 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, but I can't actually. But I might be completely wrong. I can't actually see. No, it's just from a film called 3 Coins in the Fountain.
Fair enough. It's all right, because I'm thinking of the what's the one that Well Did You Ever comes from? Never mind.
I just don't know why I thought it was 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, but apparently
it's the number thing, isn't it? It's 3 Coins, 7 Brothers.
It was parodied in the Goon Show. With the words 3 goons in a fountain.
3 goons in a fountain. What? Yes.
Then we have Hold My Hand by Don Cornell.
Hold my hand. Run for your life.
That is a popular song. It was written by Jack Lawrence and Richard Myers. It was written in 50 but not published till 53. And this is the most famous. It featured in the film Susan Slept Here in 1954.
Susan Slept Here.
Which we don't know either, so...
it's funny, actually. The title rings a bell, but weirdly, I can't remember whether it's a notorious film, whether it's a film noir, or whether it's just one of those...
Apparently...
we'll look it up afterwards.
Apparently he's an American singer, so again, another case of an American singer doing...
jolly well over here.
Seem to be doing better over here than over there.
Coming over here, having our hits.
What? Anyway, I was just thinking. I think he had other hits too. Then we've got a familiar name. We've got Vera Lynn.
Vera.
She's still having hits like long after the war. So she's, the song is "My Son, My Son,"
Right, my son, come over here. I don't really see her as a Cockney gangster.
No, it's a traditional song. It looks like it was written around that time, and it looks like hers was the sort of first version.
Well, you know, Vera don't do covers, does she? Yeah, I know. Originals for Vera.
Then we've got Don Cornell again with "Hold My Hand" for another 1 week. Then we've got Rosemary Clooney with "This Old House" for 1 week, and then to finish the year we have Winifred Atwell with "Let's Have Another Party" for 5 weeks.
Winifred Atwell. Why would I know that name? Why do I know the name Winifred Atwell?
Well, she's a Trinidadian pianist.
Right.
She was very popular in Britain and Australia in the 50s.
She didn't do a Eurovision, did she? No.
She did Boogie Woogie and Ragtime hits.
Right.
She sold over 20 million records.
Bloody hell.
She was basically the first black person to have a number 1 hit in the UK charts, it says here, and is still the only female instrumentalist to do so.
Good Lord, really?
I guess this is an early example of, I presume, because it came out near Christmas, that it was like we talk about Christmas hits and all that sort of thing. It sounds like they were ready for a party.
It is scandalous that we haven't had any others since, really, I suppose. But that is fascinating. I don't know why the name rings a bell.
I thought I recognised it, but didn't necessarily recognise it in the way I thought I did. She did have other hits: Britannia Rag in 52, Coronation Rag in 53.
Maybe my granddad used to play her tune. Maybe had an LP of hers. I don't know. The name just strikes, resonates for some reason. There we go.
Oh, she had "Let's Have a Party" in 53. That got to number 2. Otherwise, we'd have heard of her last episode.
Maybe that's where I heard it.
She has. Oh, well, it's not the last, and it's not the last number 1 that she had either. So we'll hear about her again
fairly soon.
And she was still having hits. She had a number 4 hit in 57. Piano Party, number 10 in 59. She was still
ripped off by Mrs. Mills.
So that's 54. So if we move on to 55. So let me just get for some reason, there's a bit more going on in 55. Let me just check any notable events in 55. Apparently 55 was when Pat Boone was officially launched.
Did the Pat Boone, because I have this, again, it's itching at the back of my mind, but did Pat Boone have an acting career? Because I'm sure he turns
I think he may have done.
All right. Am I thinking of somebody completely different?
A lot of them did. It does say that he is a singer, composer, actor, writer, television personality, motivational speaker and spokesman.
I get this vague feeling of all these sort of early black and white things I watch. I just have this vague feeling that Pat Boone turns up.
He's still alive. He's 87.
Blimey, Charlie.
So he could...
At time of recording.
He could motivationalise us.
Well, you can always cut that out.
I can't find specific things, but it does say that he's an actor. I can't move too well because I've got a big fat cat in my arms. Sorry, Deals, you're not fat, but the vet did say you were putting on weight, so that's good because you were too skinny at one point.
Too skinny.
If only that was my problem. Apparently, Colonel Tom Parker becomes Elvis Presley's manager in 55.
Right.
Blackboard Jungle was released, and that featured Bill Haley and Rock Around the Clock in the opening credits.
It still amazes me, because that something that you now consider an old and ancient classic could ever be a new movie, but of course they all had to be new movies at some point. Yes, 37 acting credits actually.
But
he's even in Moonlighting.
Yeah, that's what. I feel like he was probably in things like Love Boat and things like that. But that might be unfair. But
did an episode of the Beverly Hillbillies, something like that.
Pearl Carr and Teddy Johnson got married in 1955 in the UK as well.
Wow.
But there were lots of other things. But Bo Diddley makes his debut television appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Okay.
Elvis Presley plays a concert in Texas.
Golly jeepers.
Opening act is a local duo, Buddy and Bob. Buddy being Buddy Holly.
Wow. There you go. There's a connection that you can't. Yeah, I mean, I know ultimately this, this like all these people who played at Woodstock, but it's just, you just can't really imagine the number of people who sort of they have a sort of slight career and then fade away. But that's Buddy Holly and Elvis Presley on the same bill, and it's 5 years
sort of
earlier than any of which would imagine.
Sort of pre-fame for both of them, because I don't think either of them were famous at that point. They were just people.
It beggars belief sometimes. I sometimes think it's interesting that people when they talk about fame and celebrity and everything like that, but they forget how long you have to work to get there. How many years you have to put in doing all these other things to be these people that you
and how many people give up after the first 2 or 3 years. I mean, I remember
talk about the Beatles in the 50s.
One of the longest must be Pulp. Jarvis Cocker formed that band in about 78, I think, and they released an album about 81. They released a few albums in the 80s, but they didn't have any hits
Slugging
until
away.
about 94 or 93, 94.
It is amazing.
So we'll start with America again. The first number one was "Let Me Go, Lover" by Joan Weber. For 2 weeks. I feel like I sort of. Apparently, it's based on an earlier song called "Let Me Go, Devil" about alcoholism.
Blimey.
Yeah. Just says that she's a pop. Oh, she's not still alive. Just says that she's a popular music singer.
Fair enough.
But it says that only seems to infer that "Let Me Go, Lover" is the main big hit that she had. Then we have the Fontaine Sisters.
The Fontaine
with
Sisters.
Hearts of Stone for 1 week.
Wow. Weren't there a few? Oh no, I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of bands that had featuring the Fontaines, but I'm probably messing something up in my head there.
Jerry B and Marge Fontaine.
Wow. There we go. The Spice Girls of their day.
They recorded between 41 and 61. They were from New Jersey, New Milford in New Jersey.
Joyful.
And they did have lots of singles, including a Howdy Doody Christmas.
Howdy Doody. Wow.
Loads and loads.
Howdy Doody time.
There's loads and loads of titles.
Because that we are absolutely slap bang in the middle of Back to the Future territory, aren't we? Really, with this, I suppose it makes
There's loads
sense.
of singles listed, but no chart positions. So I don't know which ones were hits and which ones were misses. But after that, for 6 weeks, we have the Maguire sisters.
The Maguires. Okay.
With Sincerely. And it's
that's it, Sincerely.
And it was
Sincerely. I mean, let's face it, that's going to be an easy song to sing if you can't say sincerely, isn't it?
Oh dear, maybe they didn't have the same problem as I did.
And I mean that most sincerely, folks.
It was first released by the Moonglows.
The Moonglows.
So same year.
Another celestial reference.
Well, the moon.
Yeah, so they were big on moons and stars.
The Moon Glows were an American R&B group. They're all boys, whereas this version is all girls.
There's a lot of romance, wasn't there? Like Moonlight, and the Moonlight was seen as a very romantic thing. I mean, let's face it, you didn't have sort of much entertainment.
The Maguires were Ruby, Dorothy, and Phyllis.
Ruby, Dorothy, and Phyllis. Right, there's three names.
Sadly, all departed now.
To the great celestial moon glow in the sky.
Although Phyllis lasted until late 2020. So, they were still singing. They had two number ones, Sincerely and Sugar Time.
Wow.
And there's a picture of them in the 60s, so they obviously kept on. I think they might have only started in the 50s, whereas the other sisters started earlier than that.
We're sisters, we sing. Shall we do that then? What, they did it? Yeah, why not? Okay. And they had to have a big S in the title.
They have a song.
Sincerely Sugar Time.
They have Good Night, Sweetheart, Good Night. Number 7 in 54. They have a few other top 10 hits. Something's Gotta Give in 55. And then this Sugar Time song was 57, so we shall come back to that. So I won't say too much now because we might dive back in an episode or two's time.
And I'll be going,
we'll have totally
I've never heard of them. I've never heard of them.
Yes, but you have to consider, listeners, that there'll be a month.
There'll be a month or shows. No, absolutely.
There'll be a month or two between recording of episodes. You can't expect us to remember something we did like 6 weeks ago.
I can't remember a thing I did half an hour ago. Who are you I'm talking to?
No, it doesn't matter.
What are we talking about? Where are we? Nurse?
Well, next up we have the Ballad of Davy Crockett for 5 weeks.
Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier.
That's by Bill Hayes, who's actually an actor.
Right.
It says.
Well, that will have been the theme to the TV series, wasn't it? The TV show.
And I think I read somewhere that somebody else did a version of it here as well.
Davy Sprocket.
He's definitely better.
King of the Wild 50.
He's definitely better known for TV. There's a long list of. He's also spent a lot of time on the soap opera Days of Our Lives from between 1970 and now. He's still alive, but he is 96. So how often he appears on Days of Our Lives in 2022, I'm not sure. But so what happens after that? Oh, we have. Now I remember my dad mentioning this one. I think Cherry Pink and Apple Blossom White by Perez Prado.
Okay.
Now, I can't remember if I said Bill Hayes was number one for 5 weeks. Well, this was number one for 10 weeks.
10 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow. All the way from spring to autumn, ironic.
There's a lot of other songs by Perez Prado, but it doesn't say how well they did. They're all Mambo something, or
Mambo number 26.
Mambo number 5, Mambo number 8. Yeah, I feel like that came back into the charts at some point in the 90s or something, because it was probably on some film. There's even the Marilyn Monroe that's difficult. Lucky that's why it's an instrumental. The Marilyn
Monroe Mambos. Yes, the Mambo Marilyn.
So that was 10 weeks, and then now that this is the official.
Now the year is
the official start of rock and roll. I'd say we have Rock Around the Clock finally.
And that's basically in the number one for the next month, 6 months.
No, 8 weeks, but not bad. Then we have
Bill Haley. I mean, you actually see Bill Haley. He doesn't really look rock and roll, does he? I mean, he looks like a middle-aged man with a sort of sort of kiss
Yeah,
curl.
yeah, it looks like he's...
Man, sort of, almost like, in some ways, he's like a baby in a suit. It's really quite weird, but obviously iconic.
It looks like his kids have trying to, like, he's let his children do his makeup or something.
He's tattooed on.
Then we have Mitch Miller with the Yellow Rose of Texas for 6 weeks.
Mitch Miller. Again, he sounds like he should be running a garage in the East End.
This is an American...
What's it called?
The Yellow Rose of Texas.
Yellow Rose.
Traditional American folk song. It dates back to the 1850s. Elvis Presley, Willie Nelson and Mitch Miller did the most famous versions. I don't know who Mitch Miller is, so let's have a look. Mitch Miller looks like a cheap version of the Master. He's got...
Well, at least he's not Max Miller.
He's got like an evil goatee beard.
Evil goatee.
That's how he looked in 61, so maybe he does look very much like Roger Delgado. But
you will buy my record,
he's a choral conductor, record producer, record industry executive and professional oboist.
And professional beard wearer.
And although he's not alive now, he lived until he was 19...
He lives on somehow. He's regenerated.
He lived until he was 99. He died in 2010. That's the power of the oboe for you.
And somewhere in a dark basement somewhere, he's basically trying to make Chancellor Goth. No.
It says he had a number one in 1950, but we didn't have a chart in 1950 that we know of. So maybe it was the... he had a... I wish I could pronounce this. Tazina. Which was also a hit in America, but a bigger hit in the UK. Sorry, Dealey's getting very excited by all these songs. He's going off to see how... I don't have any... I have very few 1950s things in my record collection. I'm sorry.
How's it coping?
Well, probably if it's anything like how he dealt with the 50s music last time, I'm not hoping for much later on, but so we have...
I thought it might have been boning up on it a bit, that was all.
He can't be bothered. Well, to be fair, he is a parent now. He has to look after his child.
I suppose. Well, that's what I think. You put a bit of soothing music on the old baby monitor.
Except his son looks about...
Taller than you are.
Yes, already, and looks very much like it. But anyway, that's Alien Babies for you. We have 3 more number ones in the US in 1955. We have the Four Aces, Love Is a Many Splendid Thing. 2 weeks.
I feel that has Goon Show references written all over it.
The Four Aces are an American male traditional pop music quartet.
Okay. Do you wish to go and let the cat out?
He's just being annoying because Toby's wandering around.
Food, where's my munchies? Food, I want Friskies, I want them now.
They were active between 49 and 87.
Okay.
Then we have... Come and sit here. He's closed the door. He must have closed it for a reason. Yes, he must have done. Come on. Oh,
this domestic interlude was brought to you by the Shy Life Podcast. Sponsored by
Dreamy. Talk of 1950s music. He must have closed the door for a reason. He must not be allowed to go in there at the moment. Then we have, for 4 weeks, Autumn Leaves by Roger Williams.
Is that an instrumental?
It says it's a...
Or am I thinking
it's a popular... I'm
probably thinking Roger Williams.
It's a popular song and jazz standard. Although it does say it has lyrics, but whether those are an instrumental version by Roger Williams was number one. And it was... Come on. So it looks like it was... It's like it was both, although it dates back to 1945.
Right.
Come on then.
I could just imagine my grandfather tickling the ivories to a tune like that, and I don't know why particularly. It's just one of those strange and peculiar connections that pop off in the brain sometimes.
Then the last number one of 1955 is 16 Tons by Tennessee Ernie Ford.
Oh, another day older and deeper in debt. Yes. Probably a good way to end the year, really, isn't it?
Not as Christmassy as Winifred Atwell there.
No. Was it I Owe My Soul to the Company Store?
Yeah, something like that.
See, people were cynical about corporations even then, and rightly so.
Tennessee Ernie Ford doesn't look quite like I imagined him to. I don't know what I imagined him to look. He just looks like a bank manager. But there we go. But I think they all did around then.
It feels like the sort of music if you were performing that song, you'd need to be wearing a boiler suit of some kind, or one of those bib jeans that they used to find popular. The working man's outfit.
Apparently, the line "You load 16 tons of what you get another day older and deeper in debt" came from a letter written by Travis's brother John, and then another line, a coal miner. No, I can't afford to die. I owe my soul to the company store, was something his father would say. He was a coal miner.
You see, bit of politics.
Apparently,
quite right too. But interesting that it's a popular song. You know, in the land of the capitalism.
Apparently, Frankie Lane had a version in 1956, but don't know how well that did.
Frankie Lane.
But, so let's have a. Oh, Dealey's having.
We're going to get back on the old turboprop. We're going to get the old. Or we're going to go across the ocean.
Yeah, we're going back to the UK to see what happened.
Maybe we get a cruise liner. It'll take a bit longer, but you know, it's quite more relaxed.
We seem to have a lot more. I mean, a lot of these songs will be familiar or have been mentioned. There seems to be a lot more number ones in the UK or less longer stays.
Yes. Fickle bunch, the Brits.
Although there's one that, well, we'll see. There's one that lasts for 11 weeks. But anyway, we start with Dickie Valentine, The Finger of Suspicion. The Finger of Suspicion.
The Finger of Suspicion starts the year. I don't think 55 is going to turn out to be quite the year we hope it will.
It doesn't say a lot about it. It doesn't really. No.
The Finger of. I must admit, it doesn't say. It's an odd song.
It only has a.
I mean, I don't know. This
it says. Actually, the full title is "The Finger of Suspicion Points at You."
Oh, paranoid. Oh, blimey. Oh, you see, that's because they all watched 1984 last year. Oh, they're all feeling guilty.
And Dickie Valentine was a British pop singer who was popular in the 50s. And
very much
he had
so,
several top 10 hits, 2 chart toppers. And he has another one, but
I feel he made quite an impact on the Saturday night entertainment circuit.
Although he died young. He died at 41. He died in 1971.
I just have this vague feeling he was a guest on things or not.
He was.
You know, I don't think it was like the two Ronnies. You know, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dickie Valentine.
He did a sketch show with Peter Sellers, although it was called the Dickie Valentine Show.
Maybe that's the connection.
Oh, he was killed in a car crash.
No good.
Yeah, can't see many mentions of TV appearances, but I'm sure there were.
No, it's just, you know, I don't suppose that it's not like acting appearances, is it? But I mean, I imagine you turn up on the Val Doonican show or the Perry Como show, or, you know, Silo, you know, all that kind of thing.
Or the
well, maybe not Silo, it's a bit later, wouldn't it? But you know, those kinds of programs.
So our next number one is Mambo Italiano by Rosemary Clooney, which is weird because that's not one of the...
Mambo Italiano, Hey!
I mean, she's had number ones recently, but in this time period, but not Mambo Italiano. So whether they chose different.
Hey, Mambo.
Maybe we liked her more upbeat songs. Although she'd had this old house. This old house as recently as November, so that was number one for 1 week, as was the Fingers of Suspicion.
I suppose some record thing. Oh, she's sold a lot of this record. We'll try this old one out. See how that goes.
It might be something.
Put it on the radiogram, Sybil.
Our next number one is The Finger of Suspicion again, this time for 2 weeks. And our next number one after that is Mambo Italiano again for 2 weeks.
So they were doing a bit of a chart dance at the start of the year.
And now I know what you're going to say. Classic TV fans, take note. Next single is called Softly, for 3 weeks.
Won't be the brass band theme tune. It's a bit early for that.
Yeah, and it's by Ruby Murray.
Softly, catchy monkey.
Ruby Murray was a Northern Irish singer and
Ruby Murray
and actress.
Ruby Murray, mate. We know what Ruby Murray is. It's a cockney rhyming slang. That's what it is.
So basically, there's a plate of curry sitting on a table singing.
Absolutely, sing it away.
She had 10.
Give a Ruby. Fancy a Ruby? Yeah, fancy a Ruby. Yeah.
She had 10 hits in the
Poppadoms.
She had 10 hits in the UK between 54 and 59.
She is a whole menu.
She also made pop chart history in March 1955 by having 5 hits in the top 20 in a single week.
Crikey. That's proper Ruby, isn't it? That is swear. Full range.
Then we have... it's not one that I was expecting. We have Tennessee Ernie Ford with Give Me Your Word for 7 weeks.
Okay. 7 weeks?
Well, that wasn't even... That doesn't seem like it was a hit in the US. Weird.
Unless it's next year, sometimes they go the other way on a time lapse as well.
It says that it was his first hit in the UK as well. So maybe it was an older one, as you say. That I mean, it could have still done. It doesn't say much about it though. Then we have Perez Prado with Cherry Pink and Apple Blossom White. It's Perez Prado and his orchestra. I thought he did. What did he? I've lost it. I know it was that one he did. I got in my head he was doing Mambos. That was for 2 weeks. Then we have Tony Bennett, Stranger in Paradise, for 2 weeks.
Just a stranger in paradise.
Then we have Eddie Calvert's version of Cherry Pink and Apple Blossom White. That was for 4 weeks.
I want this one. I want it more jazzed up.
And that was twice as long as the original. Then
add a verse.
Then for 3 weeks we have Unchained Melody, which
blimey, the Unchained Melody begins,
yes.
And we'll have different versions of that from now until the end of time.
And the version that was, because the Righteous Brothers did do a version, which is probably the best known version, but this is a version by Jimmy Young, who was also I knew him better as a
JY Prog.
I knew him better as a Radio 2 DJ, but
yes. I'll hand over to Wogan. Yes,
but he had 2 number ones in the 50s apparently. But
wow.
Then we have Dreamboat for 2 weeks. This is by Alma Cogan.
Okay.
And she's known as the girl with a giggle in her voice. She was the highest paid British female entertainer of her era.
Wow.
But she died in 1966. She died at the age of 34.
Cool.
And I don't remember.
See, it's no guarantee, is it?
She had connections with John Lennon. And he was very keen on her band, and they became close friends. And she was apparently Paul McCartney played Yesterday, the melody for Yesterday on her piano. Illness and death. She was deals. Trying to see what happened. She had stomach cancer, ovarian cancer.
Good. 36. You said 36?
Yeah, pretty much. Following that, we have...
That's a downer. I'm sorry. A grim moment in the middle of the old Shy Life there.
Then we have Rosemary is the song. It's a popular song from the operetta of the same name.
Yeah.
It was by Slim Whitman.
Slim.
Now, this is the big hit of the year. This is Slim Whitman also looks like a bank manager. I mean, he's got a cheeky smile, but he still looks like a bank manager.
I can't help it, but I always think of it's something to do with Slim Panatellas. So I always think of cigarette advertising.
Although the picture I'm looking at is from '68, so he may have looked a little bit more.
Does he have a pencil moustache, by any chance?
He does, yeah. He lived to the age of 90. He died in 2013.
Despite being named after the Panatellas.
Yes. Then Jimmy Young has another number one, the man from Laramie. Which is the name of a film, or is a film. I don't know whether somebody else did it in the States.
But it'd be one of those picked up and I'll do that.
Yeah, it would seem weird.
We can make a few bob here with Jimmy. We can make a few bob.
It would seem
we'll do that floral dance for Terry Wogan in about 20 years. Same kind of thing, get you to do the thing. Novelty song, very nice. Although it wouldn't have been a novelty song then because he probably wasn't on the radio by that stage, was he? How very weird.
Then we have...
Big Murray was an actor as well, wasn't he? Murray was an actor. You see him turn up in things and then suddenly becomes a radio person and doesn't act anymore.
Then we have a song for 2 weeks called Hernando's Hideaway.
Hernando's Hideaway?
Which I'm sure has some connection with Pickle Hollow. I'm sure Toppy's has a character who works in a cafe called Hernando's Hideaway. But I might be slightly wrong, or I may have missed the reference because I didn't know the song.
You'll be earwigging. You'll have to cross-examine him next time. Yeah.
Apparently, it's a tango show tune from the Pajama Game. But it's by the Johnson brothers.
Oh dear, not this bunch of clowns. Not like those Johnsons.
I hope not. No, they're Johnston. So sorry.
Right.
Seems like it's pretty much a. I don't want to say one-hit wonder. No, because they do have some other hits, but there's. They had a top 10 hit in '53 with "Oh Happy Day."
Oh Happy Day.
But there's no picture of them, and there's no. It doesn't even. Oh no, it does say that. Yeah, they are British. I've never heard of them. Then the rock and roll finally catches up with the UK with Rock Around the Clock in November '55.
And that's pretty much sees the year out, no doubt. All the people sitting there with their pipes going, get that racket off, get off. Yeah. So they all bought something lovely for the rest of the
Well, it's for 3 weeks. And we do have one more number one afterwards.
Wow.
Just trying to see. Because I'm just trying to see if that was their first hit, because they were mentioned in quite early '54 as being up and coming, but
they just didn't up and come.
Just trying to see. Rock Around the Clock still, then Shake, Rattle and Roll in '54. I think we were perhaps a little bit late to catch on. They had quite a few. They had a few top 10 hits, a handful of top 10 hits. And the last number one.
Last number one of 1955, boys and girls and everybody else.
It's a proper Christmas song. It's Christmas Alphabet, and it's
Christmas Alphabet.
It's by Dickie Valentine again.
By Dickie, good old Dickie. What is the Christmas alphabet? A is for our present.
Yeah.
B is for baubles. C is for Christmas. D is for drunk and disorderly.
It spent 7 weeks in the charts. 3 of them were at number one.
Wow.
It is noticeable. It is notable for being the first UK Christmas chart topper that is actually about Christmas.
Wow.
Although
there you go.
Yeah.
And yet we hear it every year since, like Slade. No, we don't.
No, we don't.
We really don't.
No, I mean, I guess I wonder if that. I still think Winifred Atwell led the way, because by having party type tunes the previous year, it's the first year that something like that was deliberately done, obviously, for parties.
Yes,
so,
absolutely. Trailblazer, definitely.
Although that's Let's Have Another Party. She'd already had a party even before that, so anyway. But
party animal, quite right too. Good old Winifred.
Well, before we go, I just want to name a few names of people that we expect to see in the charts in 56 and 57, which
1956.
So coming up, we have hits. Tennessee Only Ford again, Dean Martin, the Dreamweavers, K-Star, Winifred Atwell again, Pat Boone, Ronnie Hilton, Frankie Lemon, Doris Day again, Anne Shelton, Frankie Lane, Johnny Ray, Guy Mitchell, Frankie Vaughan, Tommy Steele, Andy Williams, Johnny Ray, Lonnie Donegan. Oh, in 57 we have our first Elvis Presley #1 as well. So
there you go.
And,
there you go.
Not to mention
the greats.
Yeah, not to mention Paul Anka, the Crickets, and Harry Belafonte. So.
Standing on the shoulders of giants.
Well, Martin, thank you very much for joining me for 54 and 55.
Always a pleasure, Paul.
And let's hope that it can do justice to some of the tunes.
Well, this is it. You get old 50s, great American songbook, great British songbook, great chart hits of the 50s. I'm sure there's something in there, and I'm sure that a lot of these tunes went out to the stars that they were singing about and were heard and absorbed by the aliens. So,
yes. Got a lot of faith in him. I'm not sure I have. But anyway, thank you for joining us, and we'll speak again soon.
You take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So, Paul, will we be doing some songs for this episode? Apparently so. I just worry, Paul, because, you know, his knowledge does not seem to extend back as far as the 1950s. I know he did some sort of course when he first came to Earth to learn about, you know, culture and things like that, so that he knew about things that people know about on Earth. Yes, very, very loosely speaking, culture. I think he watched a lot of episodes of Friends and maybe some episodes of Star Trek from the 60s. But yeah, there's the odd song he knows very well. But I think you're right. I'm not sure that course went back to the early 50s. But well, he's promised me that he will, you know, do what we expect him to do. Oh dear, I do worry. But, well, I guess we can only hope that he'll, you know, do a good job. Yes, well, you know, he doesn't want to let the listeners down. So I would hope so too. Oh, gosh. So is he coming on now? I think he'll be coming on after the end theme as usual. Oh, yes, of course, sorry. Well, I can hear the theme music coming now. Yeah, well, so I imagine he'll be here singing the big hits of 1954 and 1955. Gosh, I wonder what that would sound like. Yes. Well, we'll just have to see.
I gotta go now.
Goodbye, 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 goodbye.
This show is part of the Pride 48 network. Find more shows over at pride48.com.
Oh dear. What's going on now?
Oh, it's the Shy Life Podcast. Let's go.
I have a voice.
I have a voice.
You have a voice.
You have a voice.
We have a voice.
We have a voice.
Unique voices in podcasting.
UnivazPods.net.
Hello, listeners. It's me, Ick the Alien. I'm here to sing the big hits of 1954 and 1955. Oh, Mine Papa. No, I don't know that one. The Stargazers. I see. No, I don't know that one. Oh, I know this one. Once I had a secret love. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
I think so, yes. Secret Love by Doris Day.
Yes, I wasn't sure. Oh, well, never mind. I'll carry on.
Keep going.
Such a Night, Johnny Ray. No. Caramere. No. Little Things Mean a Lot. No. 3 coins in the fountain. La, 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 la. 3 coins. Oh, I know this one. This old house, la ba ba la ba. This old house, la ba ba la. Oh, da ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Oh, this old house, ba ba la ba ba. Oh, this old house, ba 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 ba. La 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 la. La 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 la. I don't need this house no longer. Don't need this house no more. I get time to make the thing goes. Yes. Oh dear. Already in 1955. Dickie Valentine? No. Mambo Italiano. Mambo Italian. Mambo Italian. Blah 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 blah. Mambo blah 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 blah. Yes. I'm a stranger in paradise. I'm a stranger in paradise. Oh, this one. Unchained Melody. La, 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 la. La. That sounds like something else. Ooh, 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 I'm the man from Laramie. Ooh, ooh, I'm the man from Laramie. Ooh, 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 I'm the man from Laramie. Yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, yes, I am.
I don't think that's how that song goes.
Oh, right. How does it go then, Paul?
I have no idea, but I'm not the one who's supposed to be singing the songs.
Well, keep your mouth shut then.
Ick?
I'm trying to perform. I'm an artiste. Here we go. I'm gonna rock around the clock tonight. And rock around the clock tonight. I'm gonna rock, 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 rock. Gonna rock around the clock tonight. And the clock strikes 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to job. Gonna rock around the clock tonight. I'm gonna rock, 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 rocky rock. Gonna rock around the clock.
That was quite something.
I'm finished now.
What, already?
Yes, I have. I have tired myself out rocking round the clock.
Have you now?
I'll give you one more. Winifred Atwell, let's have another party.
Oh, right, that sounds like a good one to end with.
Yes. Oh, let's have another party round the clock. Let's have another party around the clock. Let's go to rock around the party tonight. Let's have a rock, rock, rock at another party. Let's have a rock and around the party tonight.
I don't think that's how that goes.
Oh, it does now.
What? You can't change history.
Oh, I can. Look. I've got one here. Christmas alphabet. It goes like this. Oh, and the Christmas alphabet. It's great, oh, it is. And it's round the clock tonight. I'm going to rock around the Christmas alphabet tonight. I'm going to rock, rock, rock around the Christmas alphabet. Oh, yes, I am around the clock.
Oh, for goodness sake. Stop it now. Turn it off. Oh, dear, oh, dear. I'll never live this down.
No, get over yourself.
Big.
Man, was that worth it or not? Oh my goodness, that was a darling little shoe. Oh, kitty kitty dealy, purr kitty kitty kitty. Oh, I love Dee.
534, 536, 536, 536, 536, 534.
This is just the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
Oh my God, is this show over with yet?
That was 1954.